Good morning, friends. Um, Happy Monday morning. Today is a good day, and I'm again delighted to be here again at this morning time, this spacious time, in these wee hours where there are just everything is formless. In other words, the day has not set a particular path, and we're able to imagine and create the day in any way that we can imagine and we can become excited about. And so to start with, meditation and contemplation can be just really powerful, and it certainly is. I'm certainly feeling that myself, especially during our unique times here where we're spending a lot of time at home, and we're spending a lot of time walking around our neighborhoods. And so I'm just grateful to be here and grateful to feel this sense of purpose each evening as I go to bed, and knowing I'm going to fulfill on this commitment to facilitate this meditation at 7 a.m. And so here we are. So let's just quickly check in with our mood, and to do a quick internal check. So as I begin today, I feel a sense of happiness and gratitude. I feel a little bit tired, and so a little heaviness in me. Not heaviness as sadness, but heaviness as a felt sense of my body still waking up from a good night's sleep. Check in with yourself. What is your mood? What do you feel in your body as we begin? So we begin not just with the thoughts that we're thinking, but we're including our emotional life as well as our sensate life. In other words, the sensations that we feel. Again, uniting our full experience, our ability to think, our ability to feel, and our ability to sense. And we're bringing our whole mind into this moment. So as I was out walking and reflecting yesterday, I'm really listening in to, what will be helpful to share before our morning meditation. And what kept coming up for me yesterday was this notion of freedom versus liberty. And I'll say a little bit more about that. But this notion of there's our internal freedom, and then there's our external liberty. And this was a notion that was planted inside of me many years ago, maybe 20 years ago. And I believe the original author was Viktor Frankl. And I mentioned him in a previous post or previous meditation. And for those of you that don't know him, his most famous book was A Man's Search for Meaning. And he was a trained psychiatrist who lived through the concentration camps in Germany in World War II. And so he really was able to go through that experience as someone who was held captive, and at the same time see that experience through the lens, psychological lens. And what he noticed was that people that went through adversity, that if they could find meaning in their challenges, their adversity, even their suffering, they could persevere and through almost anything. And those that perceived that their adversity, their challenges, their suffering was meaningless, he noticed that they did not do very well. And so when he was released after World War II, he created a style of therapy called logotherapy, which is meaning therapy, and helping people to find meaning to their challenges, adversity, and suffering. And he coined this phrase that we talked about earlier, that the ability to pause between the stimulus and the response and create space there. It was what he called as the last of the human freedoms, is to choose our response in any given situation. And so that's really what I wanted to explore today before we sit together, is this distinction between our external liberty, where we can move in the outside world, and our internal freedom, where we can move and how easily we can move from within, in that inner space. And right now, as we are out individually and as a society, from what I see, we're choosing to reduce or limit and socially distance our liberty, as far as what we're choosing to do in our external world. Our external liberty is being brought in or changed or limited for very good health reasons. And we're making a trade-off with our liberty so that people can stay healthy, we can stay healthy, and we can make it through this situation. And at the same time, as we're choosing to limit that as a society and as individuals, as we're limiting our external liberty, it's also an opportunity to increase our internal freedom. Psychologists call that our interiority. So we're able to start to build, we could choose to build our capacity for internal freedom within ourselves during this time. And that's certainly been a practice of mine, is to take this time of with limitations and external liberty, to build and expand my internal freedom, my space between stimulus and response, my ability to imagine, my ability to expand my consciousness, my ability to build my capacities in areas where I have vocation and I feel like I can build value. Building my somatic awareness so that I am more attuned to the sensations and emotions that are moving through me. And what's possible, and this is something I've experienced in my life, certainly not in the context of a social pandemic where this is being, where we're limiting our liberty as a large group, but certainly I experienced this in my own life where my choices in my external world were very limited. I chose to build my internal freedom. And what I noticed is that when I took that time where I had adversity and I had limited choices in my external world, and I chose to build my internal freedom, that interiority, later on when my external liberty started to expand again, and I had more choices in the outside world, I entered back into the outside world with increased internal freedom, and that was powerful. That was extremely powerful. And so today I just want to propose that that's really a possibility for all of us, is that during this time it can be a time of building our internal freedom and building that, enjoying that, and expanding that, so that when we do start to bring back our external freedoms in our culture, in our society, we will re-enter with this expanded internal freedom. And my sense is that will be very powerful for each one of us and the contributions that we make in our personal and professional lives. So those are the thoughts that were really moving in me last night and still into this morning. And I wanted to share that with all of you and share that together. So let's begin our meditation. Let's start first with a centering practice. And let's check in here again with mood. So notice what your mood is right now. Right now I'm feeling very grateful. I feel optimistic. I feel hopeful. And so notice what that is for you. What's your mood? And really meeting that mood without judgment, without attachment, and without resistance. Allowing it just to be. Notice what you're feeling in terms of sensation. Are you feeling in your body, are you feeling a sense of warmth or coolness? Do you feel like you're expanding and becoming larger, or do you feel like you're contracting? And meeting that with awareness. Good. And notice the texture of your experience. Do you feel, do you have a felt sense of being jagged, sharp, rough? And start to notice your felt sense of shape. Are you feeling like you are really tall in your vertical line? Do you feel like you are compressed, like you're being pulled down? Do you feel like you are expanding in your width? Or do you feel like you are narrowing in your width? And then feeling into your depth. Do you feel like you're leaning into your experience? You're forward? Do you feel like you're back? Or are you feeling centered right now, wherever you're standing or sitting or laying, however you're experiencing this? And just take some time to become aware. Again, aware of the thoughts that you're thinking, the emotions you're feeling, and the sensations that are moving through you. And as has been our standard practice these mornings is let's begin by relaxing our eyes, relaxing our jaw, relaxing our neck, softening that area of voice and self-expression. And then let's contract in, bring our shoulders up, contract our fists, and exhale. Good. And then bringing your shoulders up, tensing up, and exhale. And feeling into your shoulders, relaxing your chest, relaxing your diaphragm. Let's do that together. Relaxing your belly. Relax into your hips. Relax your thighs. Soften your calves and shins, feet and toes, arms and hands. And as we relax, we're creating space, creating more space in our bodies, more capacity to feel. We're starting to liberate ourselves internally, creating that internal freedom. And let's take some time today to add some additional practices to centering. Let's center ourselves in our length from top to bottom. So let's just work on sitting tall in our vertical line. You feel yourself in this, bringing a narrative to it, and feel yourself as a bridge. Feel yourself as a bridge between your spirituality and your physicality. And then centering yourself in your width from left to right, just kind of rocking into that. And really bringing that narrative of our width from left to right is really that social, emotional plane. We're balancing ourselves, finding that balance between taking care of self and taking care of others. And then feeling into our felt sense of depth. So leaning forward, imagine that as your future. Leaning back a bit, imagine that as your past at your back. And then slowly find yourself, find a space where you find that balance point, where it's effortless to sit or effortless to stand. And you can create that imagery of, as you feel this felt sense of balance from front to back, it can be the felt sense of the present moment. This notion that we have a past at our back, but we're not living there. And we have a future intention, a vision, and we're not living there. We're not hoping that one day we can be peaceful when this happens. But we can collect ourselves, have that intention forward, that intention back, while being fully present in this moment, the only moment that ever really is. Take a moment to feel that. And let's enter into our meditation today. Invite you to close your eyes and start to enter that inner space, that interiority. Start to cultivate that inner freedom. And set your intention. Remind yourself, for the sake of what, that you're doing the practice. And again, we'll enter in with the words of Rumi. Be empty of worrying. Think who created the thought. Why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open? Move outside the tangle of fear, thinking. Live in silence, flowing down and down into always widening rings of being. Be empty of worrying. Think who created the thought. Why do you stay in prison when the door is wide open? Move outside the tangle of fear, thinking. Live in silence, flowing down and down into always widening rings of being. And as we close our practice today, remind yourself again, for the sake of what, that you did this practice. And then on your next exhale, slowly begin to move your arms and legs. And then very slowly and very gently, begin to open your eyes and let the outside world come back in again. Take a moment to notice your mood right now. Notice if that's changed since the last mood check. And my hope and my prayer is that we all take this practice that we were in this morning together, and that we pull this thread forward. We pull this thread forward, and we continue through this practice to cultivate our internal freedom. And in some ways, that to the level, or maybe even more, to the level that we choose to limit our external liberty right now, that to the same level or more we increase our internal freedom, and we're able to bring that increased freedom into the world once our liberty is expanded again. So blessings to you, my friends. May we all hold this intention and do wonderful things, creative things, and create value and positivity for our family, our friends, and in our vocational work. We'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. And bye for now. Blessings.